Welcome back. This is Dr. Jin Sung, where clinical excellence meets excellent results. How to have the best coffee ever. Let's get right into this video. So, the best cup of coffee ever. How you're going to do it is we're going to do a challenge at the end of the video, and I'll explain how to create the best coffee you can ever have in your life. So let's get right into it. Red Bull has approximately 80 milligrams of caffeine. Dunkin' Donuts, small, has 180, medium has 210, and large has 330 milligrams of caffeine in it. Starbucks has, in the small, 260, medium has 330, and a large has 410 milligrams of caffeine in them. Now, caffeine can be addictive because it impacts many different areas of our brain, but a lethal dose of caffeine is basically 150 milligrams per kilogram of body weight, unless you have some sort of medical condition that can create issues for you. But it's very difficult to die from caffeine overdose. The half-life of caffeine is 6 hours. So let's say you take in 200 milligrams of caffeine in the morning. It takes about 6 hours to get it down to about 100 milligrams in our system. And then you have to go another 6 hours to get down to 50 milligrams of caffeine in our system. So the best time to drink coffee is typically in the morning. Maybe you don't want to drink it immediately upon getting up in the morning. Maybe wait 60 minutes or so and drink your coffee. And the reason is morning cortisol is very high, so that's what wakes you up in the morning. You throw in a big cup of coffee right at the start of the day, and then your cortisol will go up even further. Cortisol is a awakening hormone, but it also is a stress hormone. So if you waited a little bit, as cortisol starts to drop about 60 minutes to 90 minutes into the day, then you can have this cup of coffee and boost your cortisol a little bit for that alertness and the effect that you want. Okay? So caffeine impacts the dopamine centers, which is the reward centers, right? Serotonin, because it impacts mood, well-being. So if you have a nice cup of coffee, all of a sudden your irritability goes away, you feel a little bit better. So serotonin is impacted. Adenosine. Adenosine is something that impacts sleep. So in the morning, adenosine is low. As you go out throughout the day, adenosine will start to go up. Now, there are receptors in the brain that pick up the adenosine, and the more adenosine in our system and the more receptor stimulation, the sleepier you will get. Caffeine will bind to the adenosine receptors and impact sleep. So if you drink caffeine, that's why you start to feel more alert, is because it's blocking this adenosine receptor. The negative impact of this is that if you use a lot of caffeine, there's going to be more genesis of adenosine receptors. So more adenosine receptors will be created to grab more adenosine so you can actually sleep. So you're fighting this battle of creating more adenosine receptors and then blocking it with more caffeine. And that's where addiction comes in. Glutamate. It also stimulates the glutamate, or a neurotransmitter that's excitatory. So it stimulates alertness in our body. So all the impacts that the caffeine has on our brain with these neurotransmitters and adenosine, right? It also impacts adrenaline and cortisol. The same things that it impacts also impacts how we get addicted to caffeine. It impacts the opioid centers. They say that it's almost like stimulating it with cocaine. Adenosine receptor we just talked about, the dopamine and glutamate neurotransmitters can also be impacted. So the dopamine hit we talk about, right? Getting that short burst of dopamine for reward and happiness is what makes it more addictive, okay? When you stop drinking caffeine, you're going to get withdrawal symptoms because you're going to get headaches, sleepiness, fatigue, lack of focus, and irritability. all the things that we talked about here, you're going to start to experience negative impact from caffeine withdrawal. It takes about 3 to maybe maximum 5 to 7 days to get rid of all these withdrawal symptoms. Some people get really, irritable, they get a lot of headaches, and they may need to take an Advil, let's say, to get rid of the headaches. But what you want to do is you got to give yourself 3 to 5 days to withdraw from caffeine so the symptoms will go away. Now, there are many benefits of drinking caffeine or coffee, and there are some cons to drinking too much coffee. So let's get right into that aspect. Now, there is more than just caffeine in coffee. There are antioxidants and some nutrients that can be beneficial to our system. So let's go over some of the benefits of coffee. It's a central nervous system stimulant, helps with focus, attention, alertness. Improves athletic performance. So a lot of these pre-workout drinks will actually have caffeine in them, so you can get a better workout, and sometimes it's best for also recovery. It's neuroprotective. It protects against Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's, dementia, and the way it does it is it stimulates the lymphatic system. The lymphatic system is the lymphatic system of our brain, and helps to clear out these protein aggregates that can create things like Parkinson's and dementia, or Lewy body dementia, right? So it improves the lymphatic system. There's been studies that show that it improves insulin resistance and diabetes, or prevention of, and cardiovascular disease prevention. There are antioxidants called chlorogenic acid and polyphenols that are anti-inflammatory and protective and neuroprotective. It protects against liver disease like fatty liver, liver cirrhosis, etc. And in some studies, it's shown to reduce the risk of cancer. There's mood enhancements due to its stimulation of the dopamine and serotonin centers, longevity studies, and improves digestion. And some people, they need a cup of coffee to have that nice bowel movement in the morning. So because of the stimulant impact of caffeine. Cons. It can create insomnia for some people. So when people come in, they go, I don't sleep well, and they drink a cup of coffee in the morning. I tell them to eliminate the cup of coffee even though you're drinking it in the morning, because it can create insomnia in some individuals. People who have anxiety, certainly it can impact those individuals, and it can create more anxiety. It can create things like heart palpitations. So if you drink a cup of coffee and you feel anxious and shaky and irritable, maybe coffee is not for you. And there's also dependency issues. So you ever notice like some people will start with 1 cup of coffee in the morning, and then they'll have an afternoon one, and then a late afternoon one, just so they can keep their focus throughout the day. But that creates dependency, because now you're stimulating these centers, and it creates an addiction per se. Okay? Now, this 30-day challenge of drinking the best coffee ever, right? And I say ever because we're in Boston, in the Boston area. But the 30-day challenge for the best coffee is this. What you do is you taper your coffee over a 10-day period. So whatever cup of coffee you're drinking, let's say it's a Starbucks large coffee, right? You want to reduce the volume by 10% every single day, so you don't get the withdrawal effects of caffeine, okay? So you do that over 10 days. And then for 30 days, you don't drink any coffee, okay? And you'll see your mood will change, and things will get better from the withdrawal and so forth. And then on the 30th day, what you do is you go out on a Saturday morning, maybe about an hour after you've woken up, and you order a small cup of coffee for yourself. I think a sweet spot for caffeine intake for the day might be 150 maybe to 250 milligrams in a cup of coffee, okay? So you order yourself a cup of coffee, a small one, black coffee, maybe with a little creamer if you like, and you drink that cup of coffee. Add in 2 pills or 2 capsules of magnesium L-threonate or Magtein. Okay, if you do that, you drink the coffee and a little bit of magnesium, you're going to have the most hyper-focused, calm day of your life. So if you want to enjoy the best cup of coffee you ever had, you have to eliminate it for 30 days and then try that 1 cup of coffee, and you will truly feel like you've had the best coffee ever. And what you want to do is, if you want to stay off that routine of drinking coffee every day, just have 1 or 2 cups in a week. Just do it for enjoyment only. If you're going to drink coffee in the morning, drink it maybe 60 minutes to an hour and a half after you've woken up, and just keep it or limit it to a small cup of coffee. Remember I gave you that graphic of how many milligrams of caffeine are in like a Dunkin' Donuts versus a Starbucks coffee? Basically, you want to stick with maybe a small Starbucks coffee and the maximum of a medium Dunkin' Donuts coffee for the caffeine load, okay? So that is how you do the 30-day challenge. So I would like you guys to comment below whether you get withdrawal symptoms, how you feel, and just kind of give us some feedback as to how you would do this challenge, or why you would never do this challenge because of your addiction to caffeine. All right, my name is Dr. Jin Sung, where clinical excellence meets excellent results, and we'll see you guys next week on the healthy side. Have an awesome day.